What is up, fishy people? Well, today you guys are going to see the progression of this 500-gallon cube. I know you guys have been waiting, but the 700's up on its stand and filled, has fish in it, and we are working our way down the line, or possibly might jumble up the progression. So stay tuned. So first and foremost, you see we have the metal stand. We have a piece of pressure treated plywood underneath of it to try and distribute the weight just a little bit. So we went ahead and put this rock, it's actually a tapestry, and we made that the rock background for this tank. In each of the back corner, you can see there's an airline tube sticking up there and sticking up there. So what we did here, we ran a hard airline tubing down the wall on each side, and then we took and met it in the middle. Now what we did, we took a 4-foot piece of airline tubing, we twisted it to where it actually made a stop right in the center, and then we took a very small needle with a torch and some pliers, and we went ahead every 1.5 inches. We poked a little small hole all the way across to get the bubble wall look. So if you guys come over here to this 80-gallon where the ABBA is, you guys get an effect like this. Now this was a bigger needle that we used, but you can see you do a bigger hole, you get bigger bubbles. You do a smaller hole, you get smaller bubbles. But we're going to have an effect like this. This is also rock with the bubble wall in that 500. Now what that does for us is this actually creates the water movement to where nothing sits on the bottom. It keeps all the dirt suspended in the water column, and it makes your filters work that much better. It aerates your tanks and creates that current, and you can actually do with instead of trying to create the water movement with your filtration, you can do it with air and make your filters work just that much easier. That is a pointer for all you hobbyists out there, beginning and expert, because what we do here is we try and educate the masses and share our knowledge with you guys. So to get started here, the bubble wall is already in. I actually siliconed it in the middle, both corners, and then halfway up I did a little bead in the back corner. A bead door is easy to get off the acrylic tank if I ever want to remove it, but sturdy enough that the fish can't come by and dislodge it. I did it in the dry, so it's not curing underwater. Those don't seem to hold as much, so it's in there dry. We're actually not going to do a rock bottom in here because we cannot do slate tiles because of the bubble wall and all these holes. You see hole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That hole there is actually plugged, so I'm hoping it holds. It should. It looks great. I'm actually going to use that hole right there or that hole for an overflow. I'm going to have a tube running up to the top of the tank, going to a sump below the tank, and that's how we're going to filter this tank. But the rest of them, 1, 2, one of those, so that's 3, 4, and 5. I'm actually going to have to cut patches for, and we are going to use glue to go ahead and, patch this tank up, and then she's ready for water. So this piece of acrylic right here, it's about a half-inch acrylic. I spent the good portion of yesterday peeling all this tape and backing off it. Usually it comes with a wax coating. You can take it and just peel it off. Well, for some reason this came tore and just it was a disaster. So I had to sit there and rub it off with friction all the way down. It took me about 2 hours to do both sides, and then I went over it with some goof off, which you actually don't want to use on acrylic if you're viewing it, because it could eat into the plastic. But in this case, I'm going to be sanding the pieces that I'm gluing, so I want the surfaces rough, because using this glue right here, this is hang on, there we go. So this is side grip 16, and this is a fast set, and this is acrylic glue for welding on glue to acrylic on acrylic surfaces. Let me see if I can get this. There you guys go. I'm sorry. So it's side grip 16 fast set acrylic cement. So what I'm going to do is basically do a ring around each hole, do a second ring so it has 2 layers of barrier, and we're going to basically cut all my patches out of this piece of acrylic, and we should be good. But then I'm also going to spray paint this bottom piece of wood black. As you can see, I went ahead and taped it off so I can, get a nice clean spray through there. Alright, so you can see the wood below is painted. Also painted the wood on this 700 and this 1000 over here. So now it blends in a lot better. That is a light reflection, not a missed spot on the wood, just so I can point that out. But here we go. Once you're done spray painting, you can just take the tape and voila. You have a nice, beautiful finish. After I finish pulling it off, of course. But you have a nice, beautiful finish. I'm going to go ahead and get all this caulk off the front of it. But that's something I can do after it's filled. But now we can start working on the patches, guys. So here we have it, guys. You can see I've got all my patches. My dad convinced me to go ahead and patch this hole as well. And we're going to do a different style of filtration on here. But with any acrylic patch, you want to make sure that you have enough landing space on each side of the patch so you can lay the 2 layers of glue down and make sure it gets a nice firm seal. If you're too close to the edge of this hole, you might be able to get some water penetrating through. Like you can see on this patch here, there's probably like a 1/4 inch gap right there. I don't like to do that because, that's right on the edge. So I like to have a nice, 1/2 inch gap all the way around. And that's for every little patch that I have. Now I'm getting ready to clean this. You clean it with rubbing alcohol, make sure it's free of any debris. Then you go ahead and lay your glue down and you should be good.
Okay, here we are. Josh is getting ready to put some glue down. He's already cleaned up the area.
Like I talked about, I do a nice ring around the inside edge. Now we come back and do a second ring.
And now people can hear you, Josh.
You just want to do a nice healthy amount. 2 separate rings to where when you push down, the rings of glue will essentially join. And here we go. So you can see it'll just walk out to the edges. Essentially cover your whole patch. Didn't even use that much.
This next one?
Yep, hang on. Gonna go and beautify this. So what I usually take a finger and I'll smooth out the edges like you're doing a caulk joint or like you're doing a silicone job. Now what that does is it gets every other little minute crack on the edges. So essentially this is a 3rd seal on top of your 2nd seal that you've already done. Same thing on this one. No sense in wasting glue if it's on your finger. There's not really a science to it, guys. You just got to get in there and get it done. This is fast set, so it sets within, 15 minutes. But I don't like to trust that. I usually let it sit overnight for the full 24-hour cure. So say sometime tomorrow, we should have this tank up and rolling, guys. I think that's pretty exciting. You guys have been waiting for it. Just don't drop it like I just did. Bam. Look at that. Nice, beautiful seal. Again, like I said, smooth it like silicone. Now what this is doing is actually bonding the 2 pieces of acrylic together, and it's melding it together like it's one piece. So you're not going to be able to knock this off once this glue dries. So essentially think of this as melding it together as one piece.
Some of you may be asking, what is this line going all the way around here? This is where the acrylic centerpiece that's in the middle of the pond right now was glued on. Josh took a, what do you want to call it, a vibrating bit, multi-tool, and went under it all the way around.
So here we have it, guys. The patches are in. Now you can see how we did the first 2 patches. I did the last 3 just like that. And now I'm going to let this sit for 24 hours, and then we can go ahead and fill this tank, get the filtration set up on it. Now for a bottom on this, we're going to go ahead and use white gravel because we like the look of it before. I have some started it right here, so I'm going to add this in, but I have more of this white gravel on order to go ahead and finish this tank off. You guys can start to see the look of the tank and how it's going to look. But we don't have enough gravel to finish this off. But as I said, we have some on back order. So this tank will be good to go here very shortly. But the patches are dry. We can go ahead and start filling the tank. Alrighty, the moment of truth. You guys see we put the little bit of white gravel we had in. We are going to have to buy probably 4 more 20-pound bags to finish this off and get the thickness we desire. But we are filling it with water as we speak. So I will give you guys an update as it progressively fills. But one last thing I want to do is go and get all this caulk off the front. But like I said, it's something I can do at a later time after everything's all filled up. But always the most nerve-wracking moment is filling a tank for the first time. So we will see how she holds. But I'm going to start working on getting them air lines hooked up on top so we can get the bubble wall running. And we'll let this beast fill. Alright guys, so right now I jumped in the tank while it's filling. I'm hooking up the back bubble wall. Right here we have a Tetra Tech AP300. It is a deep water air pump to be able to push it to the 4-foot depth. So now I'm hooking up the actual air lines, and we should have this thing online here in just a sec.
And this is all temporary because you see that the back line on the back wall, we have to cut in and put a, what do you want to call it? Here, I'll show you over here. One of these type things. And then it'll be running off our, a what?
Manifold.
A manifold. So we have to order the manifolds, cut the pipe, put it in, and then we can run the air for there. For today, he's putting in a temporary Tetra Tech deep water air pump.
Well guys, we got this full, and I look underneath, and we have a leak. Go figures. Not any of the patches that I put on are leaking. It's actually this little guy right there that I said that I had little doubts about, that it's too close to the edge. I don't know if you can see it, but do you see that little mirror reflection right there? That's actually an air bubble in the patch to where it cracked through the glue, and that's where the water is seeping out. So I'm gonna have to remove the patch that was on this tank when I got it, and I'm gonna have to see what I can do about it. Hopefully I can inject it with my Weld-On 4. We'll see about that. Then I'll come back with the 16 and do like a silicone job around it. We'll see about that, but first I have to drain all of this water, about 400 gallons right now, so bear with me guys. Next day I did redo that patch. I put some glue, it sucked it in, and I went around the whole outside. And I did acrylic glue on there, kind of like a little bead of caulk like I showed you guys. And then after that dried, just for extra precaution, I went around with some silicone and I gave it just a little extra barrier. So we should be good to go. I'm going to start filling this tank once again. Alright, take 2 is looking good. As you can see, I left the gravel away so I can see if, you know, the patch is still leaking, which I don't believe it will, but I want to check this time just to be sure. But like I said, I went ahead and removed all this caulking against the front and the sides that you can see. Already makes a world of difference on this tank. So I will check in with you guys once this is full and roaring to go. We are right around that halfway mark, guys, and we are still looking beautiful. Now you can see there is a mirror effect across the bottom of the tank. that means there's air beneath the bottom of the tank. If you see wood through it, that means there is a water leak, which we have none of those right now. But you can see this background on there is a rock background. That is actually a tapestry that we bought from online. So it's a piece of cloth we hung behind, hung down, and now you guys can see below water, there goes that bubble wall that I was telling you about that we built. Looks amazing. That actually keeps the water churning. Right now I've got the intake for the FX5 going all the way down to the bottom of the tank, and that's going to be the 500-gallon tank. And we will have it on the system, plus the FX5, all the water movement, and this tank will be beautiful. Of course, once we get more white gravel in there. Look at that, she is full. We now have the filtration on it. I went ahead and took an FX5 off of the 1,000 gallon over here, so it is fully charged, ready for fish. That bubble wall looks awesome. We are going to put a different light on it, but this will do for now. But yeah, guys, this is a magnificent looking tank. I can't wait to get that other white gravel in here. I actually just ordered it. So we got 60 bags coming, because we might be swapping out all this brown gravel in the 4400 to white gravel so it can brighten this tank up. So that is 60 25-pound bags of gravel. My butt buddy Steven at SC Aquatics is hooking us up with the connect on the gravel, so I do thank him for that. But I also want to give a special shout out to the reef. This is the 500-gallon cube that they actually donated to us. And if you guys remember, we had a video on that not too long ago. So I want to say special thanks to everyone at the reef for making this happen. Now, I can't wait to show you guys what we put in this tank. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was kind of a fun one for me. We got to patch some tanks. We got to build a bubble wall. All kinds of stuff. We had problems. The tank leaked. But we are good to go now. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys want to see more crazy adventures with the Ohio Fish Rescue, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, stay fishy, my friends.